The 2024 Taurus New Moon reaches its maximum phase at 8:22 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Tuesday, the 7th of May, 2024, at 18 degrees 2 minutes Taurus. The recent full moon in Scorpio was the beginning of a metamorphosis process, opening the possibility of your old way of being to die away by spinning your chrysalis around yourself and allowing yourself to dissolve into goo. In this 2024 Taurus New Moon phase, you're moving out of goo stage and setting your intentions for how you'll take form in your next phase. What your torso and wings will look like, and where you will go once you're out of your chrysalis, is entirely up to you. Taurus represents the resources which support the self-identity set in motion in Aries. If we keep Taurus in its fundamental form, it represents our basic survival needs: water, food, shelter, clothing, sex. And all those basic needs don't need to be fulfilled in a fancy way. I consider the modern ruler of Taurus to be Ceres, focusing its energy on nurturing and support through the physical, material, and/or financial resources that enable our lifestyles, our fundamental needs and personal values being addressed. However, what can make these needs fancy is the influence of Venus, Taurus's traditional ruling planet. Venus likes to make things balanced and beautiful, and is eager to keep things pretty, polite, and pleasant. Of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so what's beautiful or pleasant to one person may be ugly or unpleasant for another. Considering both Ceres and Venus's influences on the sign of Taurus, it's important to each of us as individuals that we not only have our needs met in ways which have value to us, but that they are met in ways which are aesthetically and physically pleasing to us and make us feel comfortable. Comfortable is key. If Taurus, being a fixed earth sign, is all about making sure your survival needs are comfortably met, here's where this 2024 Taurus New Moon gets interesting. You see, comfort often gets convoluted with familiarity, but these two qualities are not the same. You can stay in a situation that is extremely uncomfortable for you only because it's familiar to you, the devil you know, rather than having to learn and/or deal with new people or unpredictable conditions. Yet this 2024 Taurus New Moon is asking you, and all of us, to confront and potentially release ourselves from clinging to familiarity, to release the erroneous belief that our familiarity with discomfort or feeling trapped is better than moving into unfamiliarity that could set us free and make us feel more at ease. Earlier, I talked about how this Taurus New Moon brings us into that part of the chrysalis phase where the goo starts becoming the butterfly. This will be followed by the Sagittarius full moon in approximately 2 weeks, a point at which the butterfly is growing so large it can no longer sustain itself within the chrysalis, outgrowing its confines and flying out into the world. Therefore, this 2024 Taurus New Moon is the time in which you get to start programming your goo. This is when you get to set clear intentions and declare what you want to realize and/or manifest in and for yourself and your life over the next few days, weeks, and months. This is also where we get into the part of Taurus's wheelhouse that may be most awkward for many of us at this current time. The area which addresses our values and the ethical and moral principles that may accompany them. When assessing which of our survival resources are most valuable to us, and when assessing which standards should apply to those resources, we designate value to those resources. These values are exclusively individual and personal, or at least they should be in a purely subjective sense. If each of us has different standards of beauty and pleasure, then what will have value to us will also vary to some degree. Yes, when we're truly in survival mode, we probably aren't going to be picky. But when we have options available to us, we are going to choose what best aligns with our individual preferences. Now, it's one thing to say you value something, but the actions you are willing to take, the effort you're willing to apply, and the lengths you're willing to go to in order to acquire, sustain, and/or increase your resources will reveal how much you really value certain aspects and elements of your life, and how you go about your personal resource acquisition and management. Your actions reveal the positioning of your personal, moral, and ethical compass. What we value isn't only going to be physical, material, or financial in nature. The houses in your personal astrology chart, which hold your Taurian, Venusian, and Cerusian energies, will reveal what you value most. But they will also reveal what calibrates your moral and ethical compass, what defines your sense of what's right or wrong in pursuit of securing your resources, or possibly your life. Some of us may calibrate our moral compass to our intellect, to what we know or think. For others, it may be our societal status or hierarchical position or role. For others still, it may be emotional or spiritual connections with partners or communities. So, what makes your personal values right or moral for you? And once you get clear about what may be right or moral for you individually, you then get to consider how your individual rightness, morality, or ethical conscience may ripple out into your relationships, your community, or maybe even the whole of humanity. Does it even matter to you if others are affected by the actions you take that are aligned with your values? There's no right or wrong with that answer, and I'll explain why. We each have to do what is right for us individually, yet we must also understand that others will be affected by our value-driven actions, some for the better and some for the worse. The question is whether or not we can live with the ripple effect we make on the world around us. That's a personal question with a personal answer. However, when we look at the collective energy through Venus, Ceres, and the planets currently moving through Taurus right now, we may see how our collective values are evolving right now. We see how and why these themes are being brought to the forefront of our personal lives. Under the influence of this 2024 Taurus New Moon, it's being brought to our individual and collective attention where and how our values, morals, and ethics are shifting. This is in large part due to the fact that individuals are discovering their shared values and goals with other individuals and groups, and recognizing how they may be able to contribute to something greater than themselves. Much of this shared awareness is due to the fact that people are outgrowing our long-held societal values and norms. We're moving beyond them. This is largely due to the fact that technology and communications have changed, connecting us faster and further than ever before. As a result, we feel ready to assess the values, ethics, and morals of our traditional societal institutions in ways which are simultaneously more culturally inclusive, yet also respectful of and beneficial to each other's individual differences and uniqueness. It may be a difficult shift at first, but it has the potential to be a celebratory shift, which serves the greater whole of humanity, as many of us are beginning to consider what could serve the greatest resource benefit for the most people, not just our individual selves. It's not just an ideological shift. It's an emotional and empathic shift in personal and collective consciousness. The numerology affirms these shifts in ideology and empathy. The 2024 Taurus New Moon has a similar numerological signature as the 2024 Aries New Moon total solar eclipse last month. A 2 universal day in most of North America, all of Central America, far western South America, and all points west of these regions, and a 3 universal day energy in the rest of the world. In contrast to the Aries New Moon eclipse numerology, the 3 region is much further west than before, revealing that even more of the world is opening their minds, learning, growing, and expanding their worldviews to explore new or different options for ensuring their resource needs can be met. However, the 2-day regions are still very focused on their existing partnerships and allyships, with some people becoming very aware of which relationships or partnerships need to change or end, while others are unable to or fearful of ending relationships which no longer serve them well, in order to make space to form new relationships which can support and/or encourage their growth. All of these regions are under the influence of the 8 universal year, which bring matters of power and influence and control and manipulation to the fore of all areas of our lives. This is very much an out of the shadows into the light process right now, as more of the machinations of power and influence in our societies are being revealed throughout the world at this time. These revelations are supported by the 4 universal month energy, which brings our attention to what is solid, stable, secure, and reliable in our current experiences. The latter tends to be an energy which encourages staying put and not making changes or rocking the boat. Yet, with the chrysalis becoming more confining by the day, it'll get harder to ignore the need to establish solid and secure foundations in different places, if not different ways. Another way of saying this is that many of us, individually and/or collectively, are evolving beyond our existing value systems and structures, and need to align our external realities with our internal truths. We may be finding that our old structures and institutions, and their rules and/or traditions, may be outdated and no longer applicable to the world we're living in now. Technology is advancing, humanity is evolving, and we need new ways to manage this expansion of ourselves, our experiences of our lives, and our experiences of each other. On a personal level, where do you feel most empowered and powerful? And where do you feel powerless in your life? Where do you feel like you can heal and develop your personal power again? Where do you best remember and embody your value and worth? Those questions will assist you in recalibrating your compass and possibly breaking out of your familiar box during this 2024 Taurus New Moon phase. The energy of this 2024 Taurus New Moon will be felt from Saturday, the 4th of May, through Friday, the 10th of May, 2024. During this new moon phase, allow yourself some time to ground and center. Actually sit on the ground or with your feet in the dirt or sand, and seriously reconsider what you truly value, what you really want, and what you are ready to build. Make sure your desires are aligned with your values, and be sure that the intentions behind your desires are clear. Do that work to recalibrate your compass and establish clarity around what you want to manifest for yourself and your life. Are you ready to move out of your old box, out of that chrysalis you're outgrowing, to fly into a world where it's possible for you to realize your greatest potential? If so, let's recalibrate your compass and get growing and going.